Did it ever happen to you that you've been asked these questions by your own children, or when you were a child, asked these questions at least once, like this?
Mom, Dad, if I walk too far off the earth, will I fall off?
Or,
Mom, Dad, why is the sky blue?
all these questions come up to us naturally for a reason, and all the answers are granted to us by our amazing and almighty Creator, our God. During most of my life and through my journey with God, I used to believe what men teaches to the world. This.
If the earth spins, turns around the sun, and flies in the universe, won't I start feeling dizzy?
And then one night I had a dream that I was cut up. It was the end. Destruction was coming upon the earth. And I was cut up with my children. It was when I believed the earth was a globe and that we were in a universe. But something happened in the dream that I could not understand. And I tried to make searches, but I did not find it. But later on, God revealed it to me. So there was windows all around the house, so we can see outside. We can see horizon all around. And the children, the two little girls, were looking at the window, and they were in shock. They look afraid, actually, like scared. But not like really scared, just like, whoa, what's going on, kind of, right? And so the sky, I heard boom, boom. And I'm like, what the heck happened? And I look in the windows and I see, it's going to be hard to explain, Lord, help me. It looks like paint, like dark clouds, not black, but dark gray that look thick like paint. And it was like rectangular, like, you know, when you put dry sheets on to make the walls, like that kind of rectangular, but I covered the whole sky on that section, so by section. So it was like, boom, falling, and it was like dark gray, and then you see some drips falling, like drops falling, like leaking on the sky from it on the side. That's what it's like if somebody was putting paint, but it was like square, like thick. And then I hear boom again, another one right beside it covers that part of the sky, and you see drizzle, like it's dropping, it's leaking on the sky. And it does that boom again, and I see it. It's not all covered all around, but when there's a few like that just boomed on the sky, it started to get darker in the sky. And I'm like, that is not normal. And I've seen like some swirls, and like it was swirling in it. And I'm not, I don't know what it is, but it did not look natural. It looks supernatural, like something that's I never seen. So I knew in my spirit that Jesus was coming.
And God said,
"Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters."
And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day.
places on the ocean's floor was only just discovered in the 1990s. Ninth Degree is one of a handful of people to ever see it in person.
Without a doubt, one of the most amazing things that I had ever seen in the bottom of the ocean. It was while filming for Blue Planet. It was in the Gulf of Mexico. I noticed there's something out in the distance. Couldn't tell exactly what, but it looked like a dark band. And as we approached it, the dark band became a donut. I saw this donut that was black in the center. What the heck is that? And so as we get closer and closer to it, I noticed that the black band had what appeared to be kind of steam over it. And then I looked, and there was water lapping against the shoreline. This band was a ring of mussels. And inside the ring of mussels was a lake. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm already underwater. We went out over the water in this lake and tried to descend in it and bounced off. It was so super saline and dense that the submarine couldn't go down in it. We literally bounced off, and as we bounced off, we sent ripples heading back to the shoreline. It was insane. I've never seen anything like it.
Being separating the waters from the waters is one of the first things the Bible said that God did. What does that mean? Separate the waters from the waters. But it's interesting when you see something like this, and it's literally like a level of one kind of water separated but connected to the oceans, the other level of water.
And the reason why I ask you is this is more of a speculative question, but I've seen the footage of these amateur rockets that go all the way up. All of a sudden, it's not that they explode or crash into something, but it's almost as if they bounce off something. What possibly could the sky firmament be made of, and are those really stars above us?
Anything that we sent up, like balloons or rockets, it reaches a point that it can't go any further and starts coming back down. What goes up must come down. The old adage very much is true, but doesn't make any sense on the spinning ball Earth, because there is no up and down on a spinning ball Earth. It's just gravity pulling things toward a central position.
When a man reaches the edge, after he goes as far as any man can possibly go, how does his son continue?
anti-gravity devices that were operated by the Germans there, by anti-gravity saucers. A lot of them crashed into invisible barriers and disintegrated in mid-flight.
1 Minute Bible Lesson will explain simply the firmament. The Bible says in Genesis 1:7, "And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament." That means the firmament is something God placed over the earth to keep our ecosystem separate from the seas above. It is described in Job 37:18 like this: "Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong and as a molten looking glass?" Now that we see the firmament is described as a solid object over the earth, let's see what God can do with it. In Genesis 1:8, God called the firmament heaven. This makes sense with Genesis 7:10 because God opens the windows of heaven in order to flood the earth with the waters above. You would only need a window if it were a solid object. We see similarly in Revelation 4:1 where it says a door was opened in heaven, which an angel in heaven used to speak to John who was on the earth.
Interesting. One kind of ice was the normal kind that we've all seen. They took cores of it out of boreholes in the ground. Just like normal ice, it was mostly clear and sometimes white, and it would melt into liquid water if it got warm. The whole area of Antarctica is covered in this kind of ice. But that wasn't their main kind of ice. The only time I ever saw them actually studying normal ice was when a film crew from National Geographic came by. The rest of the time, which was most of the time, the scientists were studying something they called sky ice. This stuff was totally different. We were never allowed to go into the laboratory areas of the station because the labs had to be kept super clean, and they said it would mess up their work if they risked letting too many people in the lab. But one time, one of the researchers that I was friends with showed me a piece of sky ice. You couldn't touch the stuff with your bare hands because it was so cold. And it wasn't clear or white like normal ice. It was solid blue. He said that's why they call it sky ice, because it was the exact same color as the sky. We had to wear thick, heavy going outside gloves to handle it. The stuff was so cold, it would instantly freeze your skin if you touched it. I don't remember what the temperature he said it was, but it was something like hundreds of degrees below zero, way colder than the normal ice that was outside. He had to carry it in a metal bottle that was kind of like a thermos. He let me play with the piece of it for a while. It felt lighter than a piece of normal ice of the same size, like it wasn't very heavy at all. It almost felt like you could throw it up in the air and it would just float back down. But I didn't try that. And it was also a little flexible when I tried to bend it. It didn't break like normal ice would, and even for a small piece, you could see through it. It was solid blue right from the surface. And here's the really weird part. It didn't melt into water. When it got warm, because we had it inside, it just started to shrink. It got smaller and smaller, but my glove never got wet. And there was no water on the floor. The stuff just turned into thin air when it got warm and vaporized. He said that was the reason why they had to study the stuff right there in Antarctica. You couldn't take the sky ice back to America to study it because it was almost impossible to keep it cold enough during transit. And then they shared a verse right here where it says, "And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it." And then we continue off where it says it would always vaporize into air and you'd have nothing left when you got back to the US, he said. Russian scientists had discovered the same problem when they tried to take the ice back to Russia. So that was why they all had research stations in Antarctica. After maybe 15 minutes of handling the piece of sky ice, it was almost completely gone. Just a tiny little bit was left. and my glove was dry the whole time. I'd never seen anything like it before or since, and that's unusual because I've always had an interest in scientific things. I think that's even why I got selected to go to Antarctica, because a big part of the interview was about science and what I believed about things. So I really thought it was cool to see something I'd never heard of before. The whole time I was at McMurdo, I heard people talking about the wall like that was a special place. It's pretty common to find ice walls and ice cliffs all over Antarctica. The whole place is ice, but it's all just normal white or clear ice. So I asked my friend where they get the sky ice from, and he said it comes from the wall. I don't remember exactly how he described it, but apparently there's a huge wall of sky ice in Antarctica. He said it was hundreds of miles inland from the coast. I never got to see it myself because I was only, and then I'm going to skip forward, stationed to McMurdo. I didn't get to go out on expeditions. He said it was the biggest natural structure in the world. Imagine that. He said that in the 1960s, the U.S. Army had a plan to bore a tunnel into the wall, but they didn't have a boring machine that could handle the super cold temperatures, so they had a whole testing project in Greenland where they developed ice tunnels and invented new boring machines that could operate in super cold temperatures. So this was back when they were going into forming NASA and all the other things that were kind of strange, the Antarctic Treaty, around that time, pretty close to it. And he says, like they did this whole big thing in Greenland for just practice. So it was like they were practicing to bore into the sky ice. I'm not an expert on that, but that's just what he told me. Then, once they had the new boring machine figured out, they brought it to the ice wall, or to the wall in Antarctica. He said that the machine bored a tunnel. I don't remember exactly, it was like 5 or 10 miles into the wall, but that they never broke through the other side of the wall, and that they still don't know how thick the wall is even to this day. And I'm probably not remembering this part correctly, but I think he said that at first the floor of the tunnel was solid rock, but after a mile or two in, the floor was sky ice, like it was sky ice underneath after a certain point, or something like that. And apparently the wall slowly builds itself back up. So it slowly builds itself back up after you cut it, because after a year or so, the tunnel had shrunk smaller all by itself, like a self-healing wound. It starts closing up. They had to leave the boring machine inside the wall because the tunnel shrunk too small to get it back out. And after a few decades, the tunnel was completely gone, like the part of the wall was solid again. He said that now the scientists were trying to use technology to figure out how thick the wall is. He said something about putting earthquake sensors all along the wall, and that somehow you could measure the signal from an earthquake to see how thick the wall is. But he kind of lost me on that part. I never really thought about any of that after I left. It was really weird stuff, but I didn't think it was a big deal at the time. But then a few weeks ago, I saw a map of the wall in Antarctica, except the map was all flat and crazy looking, and it showed the wall going all the way up over the whole Earth. So since then, I've been trying to learn more about the sky ice that I saw and the wall that I heard about, but I can't find anything at all. So now I'm really wondering if there could be a connection here. And that's how I found this group. So I hope that maybe some part of my experience will help someone figure something out. Well, thankful to that person. If they were telling the truth, that is some very interesting information given what we know surrounds us. We know that the firmament's not just made out of ice. It's something special. That could just be something near the foundation to prevent you from going all the way to it. The Father's design is very complex, and he has foreknowledge. He knows what mankind's going to try to do. Those little nuclear bombs they shot at the firmament was nothing to the firmament. They can't break it. They've tried. If they could, they would, but they can't. And this is just one of those stories that confirms a lot of what I had assumed would be going on. I always thought, man, if they are out there and they can go to it, they're probably trying to drill through it, and if they are, how have they not gotten through it already? And that would answer the question for you, because it closes up as you go through it. But this was back in the 60s. There's no telling what they're trying now, mostly guarding it. I'm sure that's the biggest job they have, is keeping us from going there. And if you do go there, you can only go to certain places. It is tens of thousands of dollars for a one-way ticket. Otherwise, many of us would have already gone there.
Did you see it in the background? There was a guy in the background, man. I'm not kidding you. You can't deny that that's someone in the background. There's a guy moving in the background.
In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Despite the advanced technologies of multi-layered, computer-generated images, NASA is still unable to remove bubbles in space. Bubbles in space. This summer, get ready for the revelation so unbelievable that only the most observant, perceptive, unbiased will figure it out. Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles in space. Bubbles in Space starts today at theaters everywhere.
Yeah, Terry, we can see it. Thanks for making it ripple.
All right, tell me your name.
Ruth Heath.
Ruth, and how old are you today?
102.
102. So you were born in
1918.
1918. And we were just talking, and I asked you what shape the Earth is, and what did you say? What were you taught in school in elementary school?
I was taught in school that the Earth was flat.
And then what do you remember when they changed it to a globe?
Well, when they changed it, I remember when they changed it, but I can't remember the date or anything like that.
And did you believe them?
Yes, I did.
You did. Now,
I was young.
Right, and we all were told by people that we trust.
That's right.
Where did you go to school? Elementary school?
I went to Spur Glen School in Hamden, Connecticut.
You follow the Bible?
Yes, I do.
And are you aware that the Bible is all about the flat Earth? That God put the Earth on the footstool and separated the waters from the waters, and created the firmament. If you read Genesis, there's over 200 verses in the Bible that refer to a flat Earth.
That's right.
And I think there's only one verse that mentions Earth as a circle. But just like this table right here, that table is a circle, right? But it's flat.
That's right.
Right. A circle is different than a sphere. A sphere is the same in every direction.
That's right.
The circle of the earth. So how does it make you feel to realize that you were right as a kid?
It makes me feel better.
It does make you feel better, right?
Oh, it makes me feel alive.
That is so true. My whole life, I believe,
Yes.
what I was taught.
That's
and then
right.
when I discovered the flat earth,
I feel better about it.
because we are the center of creation.
That's right.
We are important.
That's right.
We are here.
We are God's children.
Excellent.
Yes.
I will,
I believe in God. I trust God. And when all the problems that are happening in this world today,
I'll give you some good news. A lot of the problems that they report on the news aren't even real.
that's right. That's right.
They're just keeping us in fear.
Keeping up. That's right. That's right. That's right. I understand that. I understand. They just say what they want people to know. They don't care about the Bible. They don't care about life. They only care about I, me, myself, and I. It's a different world.
So the globe deception that a lot of people say, and I believe, is literally by Satan to hide God and make people selfish and self-centered and not care and think that there's no consequences for their actions.
Right. I pray every night before I go to bed. And one night things weren't happening right. And I sat up in bed and I said, God, where are you? I need you right now. And I'm beginning to wonder, where is God?
God's right above us in the clouds. The heavens are right here. That's all that there is. And there's not infinite space. Did you know, wait, let me ask you a question, just switching topics a little bit, that we never went to the moon, that was all fake?
Is that right?
That's correct.
I saw that all happening.
Yeah, so did I, and we all believed it, but that was just to reinforce that people to believe they can live on a ball and they could walk on a ball. Nobody's ever been to space because space doesn't exist. There is no space. There's just this world.
Oh, it's such a lie.
It's such a lie, but knowing the lie is like going to a magic show.
I woke up.
Yes, that's what we call it. We call it red. This is your moment of waking up. Oh. It's when you go to see a magician and you know how the tricks are done, and the magic no longer works on you, and you're free from the illusion. So knowing this is going to free your heart.
Cry.
Yeah, that's okay.
It makes me cry.
Happiness.
Yes.
Tears of joy.
Yes. Yes. I know that we were true, and they're hiding us.
Yes, it's good though.
It's good.
It's very good.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
I'm awake.
Yes.
I'm awake.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
That's my pleasure.
All right.
It's my pleasure to know that it's true.
It is absolutely true.
Oh, it's amazing.
Here's the thing: if you tell other people that aren't awake, they'll think you're crazy.
That's right. That's right.
That's their problem.
No, I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah. So good, right? I'm glad we met.
I'm so happy.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. It's right.
All right, I'm gonna, this is what I did. I was visiting my mother, and I asked who the oldest, most lucid person was, and they introduced me to Ruth. Ruth, right?
Yes.
And I encourage anyone else that has access to an old age home to do the same, because there's not many people like Ruth left that remember these things. We also talked about the World's Fair that she attended, and she said that the lights were the most amazing part.
Most amazing thing.
Yeah.
I never got over that. All my life, it's right there. The lights were so bright, and living in the dark this for so many years as a child. All of a sudden, the world opened up.
Amazing. All right, Ruth, thank you.
Thank you. I'm amazed. I'm so happy to know it's true.
It's true, and God created this world. And He's right here in the clouds above, close, not in an infinite universe. So good, right?
I can't get over it. Made me cry.
Made me cry too.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Ruth, give me a hug. Here we go.
I need it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Yay! We're the center of creation. We're important to God. He's closer to us. He's sitting above us.
The Enlightenment of the World by John J. Abzade. This book has, in my opinion, good proofs to show that the earth is flat and always remains stationary, while the sun, moon, and stars are always in motion. It also contains some testimonials on the subject. John J. Abzade, Boston, Massachusetts, May 13th, 1910. What I say on the subject is not guesswork. You'll find it in a good foundation for belief, good ideas, and absolute proofs. You do not need to accept it merely on faith, but you may see with your own eyes and feel with your own bodies. Thus you may know it is the truth. And as long as you have eyes to see and a body to feel and brains to think with, use them and you will know the facts. Christians believe the Bible. In this book of Holy Writ are proofs given by the prophets that the world is flat and stationary, and that the sun, moon, and stars are always in motion. There are many, however, who do not accept the truth of the Bible, and for this reason I give other proofs. There are some things that we need witnesses, but other truths are their own witnesses. They bear the proof in themselves. You know that there is more water on the earth than dry land. The water proves that the earth is flat, level, and stationary. Water is liquid. It runs always down and seeks its level, and never runs up unless by power. And the water of the ocean is every way pretty near joined together on the earth. And they call it liquid. It will not stay on the round earth. Take a glass of water and pour it on a round ball. And if the water stays on, then the earth must be round. But if the water falls off, then the earth must be flat. Second proof. Take a pan and fill it with water and see if it is higher in the center than on the sides. If this is true, then the water of the ocean might be round. But if in the water the pan is flat and level, then the water on the ocean must also be flat and level. The teachers offer proofs to show that the earth is round, but the proofs they offer are false. When the children go to school, the teacher tells them that the world is round and, of course, they believe it. And they do not ask how it is round. They are young and they know very little. When they grow up, they still believe the earth is round and in motion. And so, in turn, they teach this to others, knowing the truth. You ought not to believe anything the professors and astronomers say, because they do not know everything. If the earth is round and revolving, we should feel it. Also, the wind would be coming from one direction only, and not from north, south, east, and west. If the earth is turning around daily, it will give wind from one direction only. If you see a train running, you will find out that it is giving wind in one direction. But when it stops, the wind stops it. Nobody ever felt the wind blowing at the same rate daily, but they will feel the wind blowing at times very hard and at other times very gently, and often from different directions, and sometimes there is a very little wind. This is good proof to show that the earth is stationary. If the earth was in motion in one direction, it would make the wind pressure in the same direction always. You will find my proofs right if you will only pause and think them over. If, when you go up in a balloon or airships, starting from a certain place and going as high as you can, and when you come down, find that place gone from under you, then you may believe that the earth has moved. But if you find yourself in the same place or not so very far away from your starting point, then it is plain that the earth is stationary and not moving at all. And this is what really happens. If, moreover, the earth is turning around and the birds or airships are flying the same way, they will find themselves over the same place they were before. If they fly in the opposite direction of the turning of the earth, they will find themselves flying very fast and always over different places. If you think this over, you will find these proofs are correct. When the train or car goes uphill or downhill, you can easily tell, even with your eyes closed, whether it is going up or down. It is the same way with the earth. If the earth is turning around or is in motion, we would know it from many different things, as said before. They say that there is gravity in the earth, which holds everything on it. When it turns around, they give these proofs to the people and children in school, and most of them believe such foolish things as that. I was surprised to know that some people believe in things that were never seen or felt, but the things they can see and feel they pay no attention to. They say if you drop anything, it will fall down on the ground. They only think the law of gravitation takes it down. Oh, I am sorry for them. They ought to know better than that. They say ought to know that heavy things and all things that have no power, like dead bodies, will go down themselves, but some things have power, like the bird, or light things like smoke, and so forth. They will go up or any way they like. If there was a law of gravity, it would bring them down also. Most of the people know up from down, and ought not to believe this foolish thing. I feel sorry that the children are taught about gravity, and that the earth is round and traveling around the sun, and also that the sun is larger than the earth. There is no gravity at all, for if there was, a person could not move a step, and if a bird was on the ground, it could not fly in the air again, because the gravity would hold it back. If there is gravity, it is not everywhere, and cannot hold everything, such as gas, balloons, airships, etc. If we were held fast to the earth by gravity, or tied by ropes, we should feel it, and know which way the earth is turning with us. But there is no such thing as gravity, because no one ever felt it. You ought not to believe anything that people say, that the earth is round and in motion, and that the sun is stationary and larger than the earth, etc., until you have examined the facts around and found out the truth and follow it. If the sun is larger than the earth, it would light up all the world at once. If you are in a room with windows towards the rising sun, you will find that the sun always throws its rays down near the floor and not on the ceiling. This will prove that the sun is high, but if you see the sunlight on the ceiling, that will mean that the sun is rising from a low place, or that the earth is round and in motion. But if you cannot see the sunlight on the level ceiling, that will prove that the sun is always high, and the earth is flat, and stationary. The sun is always high and turning in the circle above the earth. In winter, the sun goes far from us, which makes the days short and cold, but in summer, when it comes back near us, it makes the days long and warm. If you examine any shadow or your own shadow, you will see that the shadows long when the sun is coming from a great distance, but when the sun comes near you, your shadow will be short. Examine the sunbeams in your own shadow. You will soon know that the sun is round, high, and in motion, smaller than the earth, and moving in a circle above it. This is another proof to show you that the sun is going around in circles above the earth. For if you watch post shadow, you will see it move half a circle a day. Here is a good proof about the sun that everybody can try at home. Place your lamp on the table and place your hand on the side of the lamp, and you will see that the shadow of your hand on the wall, and if you place your hand over the lamp, you will see the shadow of your hand on the ceiling. And if you place your hand below the lamp, you will see the shadow of your hand on the floor. If you watch the sunbeams, you will know that the sun is smaller than the earth and always in motion in a circle high above the earth. Suppose there is a long clear road with a telegraph poles the same distance from each other. You look at the one nearest to you and you will find it high, but the next one looks over and next one still lower, and so they seem to be growing shorter and shorter until you cannot see them at all. But it is not true that the poles are lower as they look. It is only the distance that makes them seem so, just like masts of the ship on the water. This may also apply to the sky. The sun is the same way. When the sun is rising and setting, it looks as though it is very low. It is not low, but high always, and it is the distance that makes it seem low. When the sun is over our heads, it looks very high because it is near us. Crazy, nor a child, do not believe with the correct proof. Children may believe stories, but now that you are old enough, wake up. You cannot make water nor anything else stay on the ground, on a round ball. It is the same way with the earth. You cannot make the ocean stay on a round earth without falling off, no matter what people may tell you. Do not let anybody fool you by telling you that the earth is round. As long as there is no proof that the earth is round, you must believe that it is flat and stationary. If you have a good mind, why don't you try to get the best knowledge and follow it? If you are smart, why don't you wake up and have the best for yourself? If I were you, I would not allow anybody to fool me. Don't be afraid to change your mind when you find that you have been mistaken by following the wrong way. If you wish to know whether the earth is flat or round, read this work carefully, and you will find proofs that the earth is flat and nothing else. Use your own body to feel with, your own eyes and brains to see and understand these proofs. I don't want you to believe that the earth is flat just because I am saying so in my book, but I want you to think over the proofs and try them and find out the truths for yourself.
Thou hast known the Holy Scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation, through faith which is in Christ Jesus. All Scripture is given by inspiration of God, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good